However, Joanna did not expect Bruce to chase her to the hotel. Bruce dominated Joanna again. This triggered Joanna had a depression attack. Boom, boom, boom. Bruce knocked on the bathroom door heavily a few more times. Bruce shouted, "Joanna, what are you doing in there? Get out now. If you keep staying inside, I'll break in." However, Joanna did not reply or open the door. Bruce held his breath and leaned over to hear. He did not even hear a sound. Therefore, Bruce panicked and kicked the bathroom door open. After that, Bruce turned on the lights. Joanna curled up in the bathtub, and her eyes were tightly shut. Joanna's face was completely soaked in the water in the bathtub. Bruce asked, "Joanna, what are you doing?" However, Joanna did not reply. It seemed that she had already passed out. Seeing this, Bruce's heart skipped a beat. Thus, he hurriedly pulled Joanna out of the water. Joanna, Joanna, Joanna was already unconscious. Her body went limp, and she was like a snake without a spine. Bruce was flustered. He hurriedly carried Joanna out of the bathroom and placed her on the bed. Then Bruce began to press Joanna's chest to give her CPR. After Bruce performed more than 10 sets of CPR in a row, there was finally an indication that Joanna came back to life. Ugh, ugh, moaned Joanna. As Bruce pressed down, Joanna choked and spat out a lot of water. Bruce was even more shocked and panicked when he saw Joanna being like this. Thus, Bruce hurriedly put on a bathrobe and grabbed a bedsheet to wrap Joanna up. Bruce had never heard that a person could drown herself in a bathtub. If Bruce did not kick the door to break in just now, Joanna would have drowned. Bruce said, "Joanna, wake up. I'm sending you to the hospital now." Bruce hastily tied the belt of his bathrobe. Then he held Joanna up and headed out. A few bodyguards were standing outside. When they saw Bruce coming out, they hurriedly came up to Bruce. The bodyguards greeted, "Mr. Everett." Bruce shouted anxiously, "Hurry up. To the hospital." "Yes, Mr. Everett." 12:51 Friday, 23. Chapt. 111. The bodyguards did not dare to hesitate. One of them rushed to the elevator and pressed the button. Another bodyguard called the driver to start the car through a walkie-talkie. "Cody, Mr. Everett needs a ride to the hospital. Start the car right now." "Got it." The others guarded Bruce out of the hotel. Soon, they reached downstairs. The driver had already parked the car at the entrance of the hotel. A bodyguard quickly went forward and opened the car door. Bruce carried Joanna and got into the car. Bruce shouted, "To the nearest hospital." "Got it, Mr. Everett. Ads by Pub Future." The driver stepped on the accelerator and sped toward the nearest hospital. Sitting in the car, Bruce hugged Joanna tightly. Bruce was so nervous that he held Joanna in his arms as if he was holding a baby. Joanna was as soft as a cloud. Joanna's face became even paler because it had been soaked in the water. Bruce felt his heart ache when seeing Joanna's face. Joanne, hang in there. You can't leave the world like this. Do you hear me?" Joanna's eyes were tightly closed, and she did not have any reaction. Bruce could not understand how Joanna could drown herself. 10 minutes later, the car rode to the nearest hospital. Bruce carried Joanna out of the car, and one bodyguard rushed into the hospital to call the doctor. Within a minute, 2 nurses came out with a wheeled stretcher, and Joanna was sent to an emergency room. The bodyguards held their breaths and stood aside. Bruce was wearing a robe and nervously walking around outside the ward. A patient murmured, "What's this for? Why is that guy bringing bodyguards?" Another patient said, "No idea, but he looks like he's from an organization." The third patient replied, "Guys, let's go. Just leave them alone if you don't want trouble." The patients who passed by all turned their heads and looked at Bruce and his bodyguards from afar as if they were watching a show. An hour later, the emergency room door finally opened. A doctor walked out of it. Bruce immediately walked to the doctor and asked anxiously, "Doctor, is everything okay?" The doctor answered, "Where did she drown?" "Fortunately, she was sent in time. We have saved her. However, she hasn't woken up yet because she had choked some water in her lungs." Chapter 111. Bruce said, "Doctor, please bring her back to life by all means." The doctor comforted, "No worries. Her life is no longer in danger. Young adults should be more taught when swimming." This is a matter of life and death. The doctor thought that Joanna had drowned in the pool. He would never expect that Joanna drowned in a bathtub. Hearing the doctor's words, Bruce tightly frowned. He did not reply to the doctor or explain anything. At the same time, Bruce felt deep pain inside. Bruce thought, Joanna used to love me so much. I can't believe that she doesn't love me anymore. Bruce hesitated for a second. Then he asked, may I go in and see her? Sure, replied the doctor. The doctor left after giving the permission. Bruce pushed open the door and heavily and slowly walked to the bed. Joanna was lying on the hospital bed, wearing an oxygen mask and having IV drips on her arm. She was still unconscious. Bruce said, Joanne, please wake up. Do you? I never know you hate me so much now. You hate me so much that you had to harm yourself if I touched you. Bruce felt a little guilty deep down and frowned so tightly that his thick eyebrows almost turned into a knot. Bruce held Joanna's hand tightly and had an indescribable feeling inside. Bruce thought, I always feel that Joanna loves me and is just playing hard to get. But now, it seems that she really doesn't love me anymore. Early the next morning, Cora cried, oh my gosh, Miss Haynes is missing. I keep calling her this morning but can't get through. Cora was so anxious that sweats covered her forehead. Michael frowned and replied, could Miss Haynes have returned to Greenport? Coco said anxiously, how is that possible? We agreed to go to the venue today. Why would Miss Haynes go back to Greenport alone? Even if Miss Haynes wants to return to Greenport, she will at least leave us a message. George said in shock, this is not good news. Did Miss Haynes encounter a bad guy and get kidnapped? Hearing George's assumption, Cora and Michael were shocked and dreadful. Michael said, no, that's not possible. Cora said, it may be possible, it's all your fault. You insisted on going to some clubs last night. Now, Miss Haynes is missing. Is Miss Haynes sleeping soundly? Is that why she didn't hear the call? Why don't we try calling her again? That's impossible. I can't get through at all. It's already 9 o'clock in the morning. Miss Haynes can't be still sleeping at this time. Then what should we do? Should we call the police? Miss Haynes hasn't missed up to 24 hours yet. I'm afraid the police won't accept the case even if we ask them for help. Cora was anxious and hurriedly called Joanna again. What Cora received was an automated answer. Hello, the number you have dialed is currently unavailable. Please try again. Later. Try again with my phone. Chapter 111. The three of them took turns calling Joanna. However, all they received was the same automated answer. Oh my gosh, why doesn't Miss Haynes answer the phone? Maybe we can ask the front desk whether Miss Haynes has checked out. Then the three of them rushed to the front desk. The receptionist checked the room number and said, "Hey, customer hasn't checked out yet. Then why isn't Miss Haynes in the room?" The receptionist said, "Oh, I saw someone take her to the hospital yesterday. We thought those guys were with you." Hearing this, Cora was even more anxious and asked, "Who are they?" The receptionist replied, "Well, I only know they had several people." "Do you know which hospital they went to?" The receptionist replied, "I have no clue about that. Could you please show us the surveillance footage? Our friend is missing." The receptionist showed the three of them the surveillance footage. Cora cried, "Oh my God, isn't this Mr. Everett? What happened to Miss Haynes? Why was she sent to the hospital? She was safe and sound when she was with us." Michael and George frowned. Michael assumed, it seems that Mr. Everett had abused Miss Haynes again. Cora shouted at the receptionist, "Can you do your jobs better? How can you give strangers free access to the hotel?" The receptionist replied, "Well, they can get in the hotel as long as they are our customers, and we have no responsibility to protect customers or avoid things like that." Michael stopped the fight by interrupting anxiously, "Enough. There won't be a big problem since we know Mr. Everett, not a kidnapper, takes Miss Haynes away. Cora, you have Mr. Everett's number, haven't you? Call Mr. Everett and ask him." "Oh, right," replied Cora. Then Cora quickly called Bruce Everett. Unfortunately, no one picked up the phone. Cora said, "I can't get through to Mr. Everett either." "Then call Andy and ask him." Bruce stayed by the bed in the hospital all night, and Joanna woke up in the middle of the night. However, Joanna only opened her eyes for a second and fell asleep again because she was weak, and the drowning took too Much energy from her. It was 10 o'clock now. Joanna's hand and eyelids moved slightly. Bruce's eyes were red because he had stayed up the whole night. He held Joanna's hand tightly, saying, "Joanne, are you awake? I'm sorry. Soon." Cora and the others rushed to the hospital. Cora asked anxiously, "How's Miss Haynes?" A Lou bodyguard stood at the door of the ward and stopped the three of them. "You can't go in. We need to get in to visit Miss Haynes. Miss Haynes isn't awake yet. You can't go in there." "Fine. We'll have a look standing outside." In the ward, Joanna slightly rolled her eyes and became conscious. She tried to get up but lay back after struggling to force herself up. Seeing this, Bruce hurriedly went forward to help Joanna get up, saying, "Joanne, what do you want? I'll do it for you." Joanna glanced at Bruce and asked weakly, "Where am I?" "You are in a hospital," answered Bruce. Joanna cried, "Hospital? Why am I in a hospital?" Bruce held Joanna's hand tightly. A hint of tenderness appeared in Bruce's eyes. He said, "Joanne, I am sorry. Please don't do such a thing again. Do you hear me? You almost scared me to death." Bruce's eyes turned red after he finished his words. He had been worried a whole night and did not even get some rest. Joanna took a while to recall what happened last night. Joanna thought, "I remembered I probably had a depression attack when sitting in the bathtub. Then I didn't know why I passed out." Joanna asked, "What time is it now?" "It's after 10 o'clock in the morning," said Bruce. Joanna was shocked and cried out, "What? It's already after 10. Then she struggled to sit up. Joanna had made an appointment with a client and agreed to view a factory at 9 o'clock. She thought, "I'm probably going to miss the appointment, since it's already 10 o'clock now." Seeing this, Bruce immediately pressed Joanna back to the bed, warning, "You haven't completely recovered yet. You should lie down to have some rest." Joanna struggled to get up agam. Looking anxious, she said, "I'm okay. Don't get in my way." Bruce's eyes lit up. Then he pressed Joanna back onto the bed and said, "Joanna, do you have to do so? See, you're so weak now. Can't you just lay back in bed and rest?" Joanna coughed a little and said, "Go away. I need to get off the bed." "What exactly are you going to do?" asked Bruce. Joanna was angry and anxious. However, she didn't have the energy to argue with Bruce because she was too weak. Thus, Joanna shouted, "I need to go to the bathroom. Don't touch me." Bruce was speechless after hearing that. He seemed relieved and stopped frowning. Bruce quickly helped Joanna off the bed and said, "Why didn't you tell me earlier? The bathroom is a little far away. I'll carry you there." Chapter 112. Joanna replied, "No, I don't need your help." Just as Joanna finished her words, Bruce carried Joanna in his arms. Joanna panicked and tried to push Bruce away, shouting, "Let go of me. I can walk by myself." However, Bruce ignored Joanna and carried her into the bathroom. After that, Bruce stood by the door and watched Joanna as if he was her guard. Bruce kept an eye on Joanna because he was afraid that Joanna would do something in the bathroom again. Joanna looked at Bruce, frustrated. She shouted, "Get out. How can I use the toilet if you look at me like that?" Bruce replied, "Just pretend that I'm invisible. I've already seen every inch of your skin. Weirdo, just get out now." Joanna was furious but had no energy to fight with Bruce. All she could do was frown and glare at Bruce. Bruce compromised and said, Okay, but promise me you won't do anything stupid again." Joanna said, "You're crazy. What can I do in the bathroom?" Bruce failed to control his sharp tongue and said, "HMPH, what if you drown in the toilet?" He thought, after all, Joanna drowned herself in a bathtub. Listening to Bruce's words, Joanna could not say a word. She was so angry that her chest was about to explode. Therefore, Joanna glared at Bruce. Her gaze was like an ice blade stabbing Bruce. Joanna would have killed Bruce with her eyes if a gaze could kill a person. Joanna's staring was so creepy that Bruce gave in. He said, all right. Don't look at me like that. I'm going out." See. As he spoke, Bruce glanced at Joanna and turned to leave the bathroom. Creak. The moment Bruce went out, Joanna locked the bathroom door. Joanna thought, if Bruce barges in when I'm in the middle of using the toilet, I will probably feel disgusted and throw up. Bruce anxiously knocked on the door and shouted, "Hey, why did you lock the door? Are you going to do that again? Open the door." Joanna replied, "Bruce, can you let me use the toilet in peace? You're so annoying." Joanna almost could not control her anger. Joanna thought, I didn't realize Bruce is so clingy. Where is that cold, calm, and unapproachable Bruce? Half a minute later, boom, boom, boom. Bruce knocked again and asked, "Ann. Ads by Pub Future. You're still in there?" Joanna frowned and felt frustrated, thinking, I can't pass through walls. Where am I supposed to be if I'm not in here? Is Bruce worrying that I'm going to disappear through the sewer? Bruce shouted, "Why don't you reply to me? I'll break in if you don't say a word." Joanna replied, "I'm in here." "Oh, all right." Bruce was relieved after he heard Joanna's answer. Another half a minute later. "Are you still in there?" Bruce was afraid that Joanna would faint again, so he asked every half a minute to make sure that Joanna was fine. Joanna could not use the toilet in peace due to Bruce's disturbance. Thus, she shouted angrily, "Stop being crazy. Leave me alone." Chapter 112. Hearing Joanna's shouting, Bruce was stunned. No one had ever dared to shout at Bruce like this. Bruce touched his nose resentfully and shouted back, "Damn it, Joanna. When did your temper become so bad? I'll teach you a lesson someday." 5 minutes later, Joanna could not take it anymore and hurriedly came out of the bathroom. Bruce said resentfully, "Why do you need to use the toilet for so long? It looks like you have remarkable bowel movements." After that, without asking Joanna, Bruce bent down and carried Joanna in his arms again. Joanna was so angry that she shouted, "Don't touch me. Put me down." She was not used to this different Bruce. Bruce warned, "Behave, or I'll put you in the toilet." When Joanna heard this, she could not hold her anger anymore. She lowered her head and bit Bruce's shoulder with all her might. Bruce hurriedly left the room after he heard that. Bruce thought, Henry rarely calls me. He must have important messages if he calls me. Bruce picked up the phone and said, "Hello." On the other end of the phone, Henry said anxiously, "Yes, Mr. Everett. Mrs. Everett doesn't feel well and wants you to go back to the Everett mansion immediately." "What's wrong with Grandma?" asked Bruce. "Mrs. Everett's condition has returned, and the doctor has already arrived." When Bruce heard the butler's words, he immediately felt anxious and said, "I'm going back home now." Noted, Mr. Everett. After hanging up the phone, Bruce was about to leave in a hurry. However, he suddenly thought of Joanna. Then Bruce went back into the ward. Bruce said, "Joanna, I've got a bit of an emergency. I need to rush back home." Joanna was upset about Bruce's existence. Hearing Bruce's words, Joanna replied coldly, "Just head home now. No need to worry about me." Bruce ordered, "Cora, Cody, you guys stay here and take good care of Joanna. Call me if necessary." "Yes, Mr. Everett. No worries." Bruce did not have time to say anything else. Thus, he leaned over to kiss Joanna's forehead and said, "I'm leaving now. Take care." Joanna pouted and did not reply to Bruce. Joanna thought, it sounds like Bruce is saying goodbye to his pet dog when he goes out. He's always self-centered and doesn't care about my feelings. Bruce could not afford another minute here, so he hurriedly left. In Bruce's eyes, nothing was more important than his grandmother's health. Margaret was Bruce's only family member, and that was why Bruce always followed Margaret's words. Bruce rushed back to Greenport and arrived at the Everett mansion. Bruce asked, "How's Grandma?" Henry answered with a grip expression. "The doctor came by and gave Mrs. Everett an injection. She's stable now." However, it was really emergent just now. When Bruce heard this, he felt even more uneasy. Then he walked to bed nervously. Margaret was still on a ventilator and had yet to wake up. Several family doctors were observing Margaret at the side of the bed. Margaret's heart was not in good condition, and she had blood clots. If ordinary people had these diseases, they would not last too long. Margaret spent countless money to maintain her life. The next few days, she would have to accept the injection of expensive regenerative stem cells and nutrients. 12:51 Friday the 23rd of June. Chapter 113. These were not the things that ordinary people could afford. A bottle of regenerative stem cells cost over $2 million, and a bottle of nutrient cost more than $200,000. Grandma, how do you feel? Asked Bruce. He grabbed his grandmother's hand tightly, worry. Perhaps sensing the arrival of her grandson, Margaret opened her eyes slowly and said in a hoarse voice, Bruce. Then, Margaret indicated a doctor to remove the ventilator for her. The doctor at the side immediately understood and quickly took off the ventilator. Bruce said, Grandma, you should probably put on the ventilator. Margaret looked at Bruce lovingly and said slowly, It's okay. I want to talk to you. Bruce tried his best to squeeze a smile and said, I'll talk to you all day after you recover. Margaret smiled and asked, Why haven't you come over for the past 2 days? Oh, I went to Mosbourne for a business trip, replied Bruce. Margaret gently stroked Bruce's head and said earnestly, Is everything okay between Roxanne and you? Are you good now? Bruce rolled his eyes and replied, Grandma, we are good. Margaret said, You already grew up. It's not a bad idea to get married earlier. Ask Roxanne to come over. I want to see her. It's time to give something to the future Mrs. Everett. No problem, said Bruce. He did not want to go against his grandmother's wishes. Therefore, Bruce would agree no matter what. Margaret said. Actually, Bruce wanted to cancel the engagement with Roxanne a long time ago. However, Bruce was afraid that his grandmother would suffer a blow, so he delayed it for so many days. Margaret continued, I always expect to have a great grandson. From my current condition, it seems it's already good enough for me to see you get married. Bruce replied, Grandma, stop these inauspicious words. You can definitely celebrate your 100th birthday. You can not only have a great-grandson but also a great-great-grandson. Adds by Pub Future. Margaret smiled when she heard Bruce's words. Margaret knew that her body was in a terrible state now. However, she did not know how many days she could have even if she spent all her money on her health. That was why Margaret wanted to see her grandson get married before she died. On the other side, Gavin looked at Roxanne excitedly and said, Roxy, I fixed the car. Roxanne asked, Really? You had it fixed so fast? Gavin uncovered the hood and pointed at the repaired Maybach, saying, Look, it's as good as new. Roxanne glanced at it and realized that the car was fixed. Roxanne asked, I asked you to take it to a car dealer. How come they finished the repair so soon? Well, it will cost a lot if I take it to a car dealer. Besides, I have to fill out all kinds of documents. Look, I only spent $1,000 to repair the car. When Roxanne heard this, she immediately shouted angrily, What? Did you take the car to a random car repair station? 12:51 Friday the 23rd of June. Chapter 113. Gavin said, Relax. My friend has been repairing cars for more than 10 years. He can repair any car. This car's front cover is dented, and a layer of paint is chipped. It will become as good as new as long as we fix the dented part and spray a layer of paint. See, Roxanne angrily stomped. Then she rushed to check the front of the car. At first glance, the car seemed perfect. However, if looked closer, it was like sewing a rough patch on an expensive satin. Although the color was similar, anyone could tell the difference. Expensive cars like Maybach needed to send to the car dealer for repainting if they had small damage. The paint emitted a pungent smell and had a color deviation. Ordinary people could tell it, not to mention Bruce Everett. Roxanne said, You piss me off. It would be even better to let it stay the same. Gavin quickly held Roxanne's shoulder and comforted her, Roxy, don't be angry. You know Bruce, do you? He has so many cars and is so busy with work. How can he have the time to check the car carefully? Those rich people have seen lots of luxury things. Bruce won't notice it if I give him a fake one. Relax. We'll be fine. Hearing Gavin's words, Roxanne angrily stomped and felt her lungs were about to explode. However, Roxanne could do nothing now since the car was repaired like this. Thus, she said, All right. Let's forget about it. I hope I can get away with it. Gavin comforted, Roxy, don't be angry. We'll be fine. After saying that, Gavin could not help hugging Roxanne and touching her with his hands. Roxanne pushed Gavin angrily and said, "This is an inappropriate time for it. Why are you still in the mood for it? Go away." Gavin murmured, "Roxy, please, let me make this right. I'll show you what I got tonight and satisfy you." As he spoke, Gavin carried Roxanne into the house. Gavin had no strengths except for his skills. He could make Roxanne feel really good. Therefore, even if Gavin was poor and unsuccessful, Roxanne was still willing to hang out with him. After all, this was Roxanne's first man. From her first time until now, Gavin had turned Roxanne from an ignorant young girl to an experienced woman. They had been together and did that many times. Roxanne was satisfied each time. Soon, heavy breathing arose in the room. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Roxanne's phone suddenly vibrated. Roxanne intended not to pick up the phone since she was in the middle of pleasure. However, Roxanne realized it was Bruce calling because she had set a specific ringtone for him. Roxanne hurriedly gestured for Gavin to stop when she realized it was Bruce calling. "Hi, Bruce." Bruce's voice came from the other end of the phone. "Where are you now?" 12:51 Friday the 23rd of June. Chapter 113. Gavin knew that it was Bruce. He felt jealous and deliberately gave Roxanne a thrusting. Roxanne almost shouted out loud. She did her best to hold it and replied, "Oh, I'm hanging out." "Okay, Grandma wants to see you. Send me your location, and I'll send someone to pick you up." Oh, no, thanks. I just had the car fixed. I can go there by myself." "All right then." After that, Bruce hung up the phone. However, Bruce vaguely sensed something was wrong because Roxanne sounded weird and nervous. Roxanne's voice used to be cheerful and crisp when she received a phone call from Bruce, but her voice sounded hoarse just now. After Roxanne hung up the phone, she cuffed Gavin in exasperation, shouting, "You'll be dead if you ruin my business. Go away. Now, Roxy, we haven't finished it yet. Get lost. Are you rushing to see Bruce?" "Yeah." Roxanne pushed Gavin away. Then she quickly put on her clothes and went to the mirror to put on some makeup. After that, Roxanne drove away. When Roxanne came out of Gavin's house, some gangsters were on the streets. They all widened their eyes when they saw Roxanne walk out of Gavin's place as if they saw a superstar. These local gangsters were Gavin's creditors. They directly barged into Gavin's house. Gavin was still naked. When Gavin saw them, his face turned pale, asking, "Bosh, Kurt, what brings you here?" Bosch held a cigarette in his mouth and patted Gavin on the shoulder, replying, "Hey. Well done, kid. You've got such a beautiful girlfriend. Yeah, you're so lucky to get such a beauty. She is so pretty that she almost looks like a superstar." These gangsters all agreed that the woman they saw just now was gorgeous, but no one would have thought she was Thay Haynes' family's second daughter, Bruce's fiancée. After all, this was a slum. None of them would believe a decent woman would come here. Besides, she hung around with a guy like Gavin. Gavin's face was paler, and his voice was shaking. Gavin replied, "Well, there's no such thing. She's just one of my friends." "A friend? Haha." Those gangsters all laughed in disdain. Gavin dressed like a mess. Everyone knew Gavin must get it on with that woman. "All right, cut the crap. When are you going to pay back the money you borrowed?" Gavin replied, "In a few days." Then Gavin quickly took out cigarettes and lighted them for these people. Roxanne caught Gavin's all attention even since Gavin hooked up with Roxanne. When Gavin was with Roxanne, Roxanne was the one who paid most of the expenses. However, Roxanne would occasionally wheedle Gavin into buying her a gift. One handbag cost Gavin more than $20,000. Gavin could not afford it at all. Therefore, he could only borrow money from others. Until now, Gavin had already owed tens of thousands of dollars to loan sharks. "You've missed the due date for days. At least you should pay back the interest." Gavin begged, "Bosh, Kurt, please give me a few more days. I'm really tight on money these days." Bosch said, "Tight on money? Then how do you have the mood to mess up with a woman? How much does that woman charge for a night?" Beautiful women were either socialites or prostitutes. Roxanne was willing to get it on with Gavin. Therefore, those people thought Roxanne was in that industry. Gavin was instantly enraged and shouted, "Don't you insult her. She's a decent woman. Hearing this, Bosch was more interested and asked, "Wow. You got a decent woman to sleep with you. Ask your girlfriend to spend some nights with me if you can't pay me back. I'll take it as your repayment of interest." Hearing those words, Gavin was so angry that his face turned red. He said, "Bosch, please don't a joke like that. Then give my money back," warned Bosch. Bosch's sidekicks pushed Gavin and said, "We were trying to be nice. How dare you speak to Bosch like that? We want the money back." Speaking of money, Gavin suddenly felt discouraged, thinking, how can I have the money to repay the loan? 12:51 Friday the 23rd of June. Chapter 114. Roxanne was rich, but Gavin could not drop his male ego and was too embarrassed to ask Roxanne for money. Gavin thought, Roxy already despises me for being poor. If I ask her for money, Roxy would probably be more disgusted and think I'm useless. Therefore, Gavin said, "Bosch, Kurt, please give me a few more days. I'll pay you back days later. I promise it. Ads by Pub Future." Kurt said, "No negotiation. I want the money back today. You can't repay the principal, but at least you should repay the interest. Shouldn't you?" Kurt widened his eyes, and the muscles on his face swung. He warned, "Pay back the interest of $6,000 now." Gavin put on a long face and kept begging, "I really don't have money now. I can't give you $6,000 now even if you beat me to death, kill you. Nice dream. How can we have our money back if you die? How about this? Ask your girlfriend over to spend a night with me. Maybe I'll waive your interest if I'm happy." Gavin cried, "I can't. Please stop joking. Who the fuck is joking with you? Pay the money back or ask that girl to play with us." Gavin begged, "Just give me a few more days. I promise I'll repay the loan. Please, Bosch. I promise I'll return the money in 3 days at most." In the Everett mansion, Roxanne hurriedly drove and arrived at the Everett mansion. Butler Henry led Roxanne into the house and said, "Mr. Everett, Ms. Haynes has arrived." Bruce replied coldly, "Okay." Roxanne looked at Bruce uneasily and said, "Bruce, here's your car key." Bruce took it and said, "Grandma wants to see you." Roxanne said, "Oh, okay. How's your grandma? Is she feeling better?" Bruce did not reply. He just strode forward to lead the way. Soon, Bruce brought Roxanne into Margaret's room. With the help of the nurses and doctors, Margaret moved from the bed to a wheelchair. Bruce said gently, "Grandma, Roxy is here to visit you." Then Bruce put his arm around Roxanne's shoulder, trying to be like he was intimate with Roxanne. Bruce thought, "Grandma is seriously sick now. All I want is to make her happy." Roxanne bent down and asked gently, "Grandma Margaret, are you feeling better?" "Yes, I'm much better now." Margaret looked at Roxanne and said in a hoarse voice. Margaret felt her body was getting heavier and wanted to see her grandson get married before she died. Margaret did not like Roxanne very much. However, after a big surgery, she wanted to see her grandson marry Roxanne. Margaret thought, "It doesn't matter whether I like Roxanne. The most important is Bruce likes her." Thus, Margaret said, "Bruce, go get my jade jewelry." "Which set of jade jewelry?" asked Bruce. "The emerald ones." 12:52 Friday the 23rd of June. Chapter 114. Hearing this, Bruce subconsciously frowned. Bruce thought, that set of emerald jewelry is an engagement gift from Grandma's parents, and it is a family heirloom passed down from Grandma's ancestors. Grandma likes them so much that she only wears them on important occasions. No problem. Then Bruce reluctantly walked toward a safe. Bruce took out the set of jade jewelry and passed them to Margaret, saying, "Grandma, here you are." Margaret took the set of jewelry shakily and gently opened the box. Inside was a pair of green bracelets, a bead necklace, a pair of earrings, and a ring. Each one of them was priceless. An entire set of antique emerald jewelry like this could not be measured with money. Margaret touched the jewelry shakily, her eyes filled with gentleness. She said to Roxanne, "This is my engagement gift from my parents. It's passed down from my ancestors. Now, I'm passing this set of jewelry to you. You need to take good care of them." Hearing Margaret's words, Roxanne was instantly stunned. She answered with a shaking voice, "Grandma Margaret. Come closer. I'll put them on for you," said Margaret. Thank you, Grandma Margaret. Roxanne was so excited that tears flowed out of her eyes. Margaret picked up the bracelet and put it on Roxanne's wrist. Then, she put the rest jewelry on Roxanne. Margaret said, "Oh, they look beautiful. Young beauty makes this jewelry look even better." Roxanne asked, "Bruce, is it beautiful?" "Yeah, it looks great," replied Bruce. He had a smile on his face, but deep down, he was extremely annoyed. Bruce thought, Grandma gave the set of jade jewelry to Roxanne, meaning that Grandma has already recognized Roxanne as a member of the Everett family. However, I no longer have any feelings for Roxanne. Margaret said, "Bruce, Roxanne. Live a happy life after you get married and have children as soon as possible." Bruce said, "Grandma, we will. You will see your great-grandchildren." After saying that, Bruce deliberately hugged Roxanne's shoulder tightly and kissed her forehead gently. Margaret's smile became bigger when she saw how loving the two of them were. After Bruce kissed Roxanne, he vaguely noticed a strange smell. Bruce did not like perfume, so Roxanne rarely wore perfume in front of Bruce. When Roxanne was having it with Gavin, Bruce called and asked Roxanne to rush over. Therefore, Roxanne went here without a shower, and her body sent out a smell that revealed Roxanne had intimate behavior with others. Bruce suddenly felt suspicious and subconsciously took a closer look at Roxanne. Roxanne's face was as red as a rose because she had a wonderful time with Gavin. Besides, Gavin was so good that Roxanne was a little weak now. Bruce became more suspicious. Then he said, "Grandma, you must be tired now. How about having some rest? I'll send Roxy back home." "Oh, okay," replied Margaret. Bruce said to Roxanne, "You'd better get moving." 12:52 Friday the 23rd of June. Chapter 114. Goodbye, Grandma Margaret. Roxanne gently said goodbye to Margaret. Then, Bruce and Roxanne left Margaret's room. Roxanne smiled happily and asked, "Bruce, where are we going now?" "I'll take you home," replied Bruce. "What?" Roxanne suddenly lost her smile. "Get in the car," urged Bruce. "All right." Bruce and Roxanne got into the car, and Bruce drove out of the Everett mansion without saying a word. Roxanne sneakily glanced at Bruce and felt a little uneasy in the car. After all, Roxanne was guilty because she cheated on Bruce. Roxanne thought, well, things were funny today. Margaret finally recognized me as her grandson's wife. "Bruce, where are we going?" asked Roxanne. "I've already told you. I'm taking you home." "Oh, okay." Bruce suddenly ordered, "Take off the jewelry." Roxanne was stunned and asked, "What?" "Bruce, what did you say?" "I'll repeat. Take off the jewelry." "Bruce'll hurry up and cut the crap," Bruce urged impatiently. Bruce thought, this is Grandma's family heirloom. It should be for my wife. Grandma could not really give it to Roxanne. When Roxanne heard this, she felt like she had fallen into an ice cave. Roxanne could not help but cry. "Bruce, Grandma gave this to me." Bruce replied coldly, "This is a gift from Grandma to my wiffle." In other words, Bruce would not marry Roxanne. Boom! Roxanne looked as if she had been struck by lightning. She widened her eyes and stared at Bruce. "Bruce, what do you mean by that?" Bruce pondered for a few seconds. Then he frowned and replied, "The literal meaning." Roxanne's eyes were full of fear and disappointment. Roxanne asked in a shaking voice, "Are you saying you won't marry me?" Bruce remained silent without knowing what to say. "Bruce, answer me now. You will marry me, won't you?" Bruce explained, "Grandma is seriously sick now, so I need you to cooperate with me, and we pretend to be a loving couple in front of Grandma. We can have a certificate if you want. However, you have to sign a prenuptial agreement. Also, don't expect too much from me. Especially don't expect me to only have you as my woman." Hearing this, Roxanne felt desperate. Bruce urged again, "Hurry up and take off the jewelry." Then Bruce continued, "If you want, I can buy another set for you." "You can't have this one." Roxanne sobbed and started crying. Bruce interrupted, "Don't make me repeat myself." Bruce was commanding in a cold voice. Roxanne did not dare to disobey. All she could do was take off the jewelry and silently put them back into the box. Bruce took the jewelry box and handed a black card, saying, "Go to a jewelry store and buy another one for yourself. You can use my card." Bruce was a gentleman and felt embarrassed for asking things back from a woman. Therefore, Bruce wanted to make it up to Roxanne after having his grandma's jewelry back. Roxanne sniffled and cried, "Bruce, don't you love me anymore?" Bruce frowned and said, "Don't ask such a question again. You know the answer." Squeak. The car stopped in front of the Haynes' house. "Here we are. Now get out of the car." However, Roxanne sat still after Bruce said that. Roxanne held Bruce's arm, crying, "Bruce, what did I do to make you hate me so much now?" 12:52 Friday the 23rd of June. Chapter 115. It must be Joanna. Before Joanna came back, we loved each other so much. Bruce, you've changed so much ever since Joanna came back. You don't love me anymore. Bruce retracted his arm impatiently and interrupted, "I've said it before. Don't involve Joanna in our matters. Joanna is Joanna, and you are you. You two can't be compared." "Bruce'll hurry up and get out of the car. I still have to go back to the company for a meeting." Roxanne sniffled and opened the car door sadly. Just as Roxanne had gotten out of the car, Bruce stepped on the accelerator and drove away. Roxanne's eyes were bloodshot. Roxanne stomped and murmured, "Bruce, you'll regret what you've done to me." Half an hour later, Bruce arrived at the Everett group. Bruce subconsciously locked the car after parking it. Just as Bruce was about to get into the elevator, he suddenly noticed the reflecting light of the front of the car. Bruce thought, "Something's wrong." The color of the front of the car also seems strange. Bruce frowned and returned to the car. Then he bent down to check the front of it. Bruce was infuriated with what he had seen. It was obvious that Bruce's car had been hit before. Moreover, the quality of the repair was poor. It was so bad that it ruined the hood. Roxanne casually mentioned it to Bruce over the phone and said the car was slightly scraped. Bruce thought it was not a big deal because Roxanne did not ask him to call the insurance company. Then, Bruce checked the dash camera video. Bruce found that Roxanne had been in the car with a stranger. This stranger was the person who bumped Bruce's car. Roxanne and the stranger did not do anything that crossed the line in the car, but they seemed very intimate. Bruce probably wouldn't have looked at the dashcam for the rest of his life if Bruce did not notice the damage to his car. That was why Roxanne dared to drive Gavin around fearlessly. After watching the dash camera video, Bruce felt a chill run down his spine and a bad feeling about this. Ads by Pub Future. Bruce thought, this man and Roxanne should not be just friends. "Andy," shouted Bruce. "Yes, Mr. Everett. Is there anything I can do for you?" "Go and check this person." "No problem, Mr. Everett. Send all the information about this person to my email in 10 minutes. Got it. 12:52 Friday the 23rd of June. Chapter 115. 10 minutes later, Andy sent Gavin's information to Bruce's email. Bruce clicked it and took a look. Bruce thought, this person is from the same school as Roxanne, there is no other strange information. Roxanne usually meets her classmate or has parties with them. I can't conclude that Roxanne has a special relationship with Gavin. Besides, in the 6 years we have been together, Roxanne always looks like a pure and innocent girl in front of me. In the past, Roxanne would have blushed for a long time if I held her hand. She would be so shy that she couldn't open her eyes. For minutes if I kissed her. Her face would turn pale, and her body would be shaking if wanted to touch her. Roxanne told me that did not accept premarital sex. I don't think such a conservative girl will cheat on me. I always respect her and never touch her because of her conservativeness. However, all the information indicates Roxanne is probably a two-faced woman. In the hospital, Joanna had already completed the documents to check out. The doctor advised Joanna to stay for a few more days. However, Joanna decided to go home on the same day she was sent to the hospital because she was worried about her 3 children. "Miss Haynes, are you sure you want to leave the hospital?" "Yeah, I'm fine now. I have to rush to Ventura's to pick up Divian and Irwin." Cora said worriedly, "But you're still weak." Joanna interrupted and comforted, "Don't worry. I'm okay and I'm not that delicate." Not long after Bruce left, Joanna insisted on leaving the hospital. Today was the weekend. Joanna had to hurry to Ventura's to pick up Divian and Irwin. Joanna set off in the afternoon. The sky was already dark by the time Joanna arrived at Ventura's. The 2 little fellows waited for Joanna for so long that they got anxious. "Mommy, why are you picking us up so late today? Joanna replied, I have something to do, so I came here a little late. Oh, okay, let's go home. The two little fellows bopped onto the boat and chatted all the way. Greenport and Venturas were coastal cities, and Greenport was across the sea from Venturas. Therefore, the most convenient transport between these two cities was to go to a dock to take a ship. Irwin looked at Joanna and said, Mommy, I have something to tell you. Joanna looked at her son with a smile and replied, Okay, go ahead. Irwin tilted his head and said cutely, Well, Mr. Grimm said I have talent in acting. And 12:52 Friday the 23rd of June. Chapter 115. Then Mr. Grimm said I can become a star. Irwin, you are just a kid now. Maybe focus on your studies. Irwin looked at Joanna proudly and argued, but I'm very interested in acting. Mr. Grimm told me that his company wants to film a movie and needs a cute baby. Mr. Grimm thinks I'm perfect for that part. Hearing these words, Joanna could not help but laugh, asking, Then what do you think? Irwin answered, I think I'm so cute, so smart, and so talented in acting that I will definitely get that part. Well, Joanna couldn't help frowning and did not know whether to laugh or cry. Joanna thought, when does Irwin become so thick-skinned? Luckily, Joanna respected her children's thoughts. She would not stop Irwin if Irwin really wanted to go. Do you really want to go? Asked Joanna. Irwin answered, Yeah, absolutely. Devian, what do you think? Asked Joanna. Devian showed a cool face and replied, Mommy, just let Irwin go since he really wants this opportunity. Joanna sighed and said, You two always get your way, don't you? Irwin held Joanna's arm and said, Mommy, please. I really want to get in that movie. All right then. If you really want to go, I'll call Mr. Grimm. But let's make it clear first. You can't hide away from hardship and exhaustion since you are going. You should also focus on your studies. After that, Joanna suddenly paused. Joanna said inside, I'm one being too harsh on Devian and Irwin. They are only 4 years old. I don't have to treat them like this. I should support them to chase their dreams if they are interested in something. Then Joanna asked, Then what do you like, Devian? Devian replied, I like playing on the computer, such as computer games. Devian was sensitive to numbers and taught himself to play on the computer. It seemed that Devian had the potential to be an agent or a hacker. Great, I'll call Mr. Grimm tomorrow, said Joanna. After they returned home, Devian and Irwin put down their school bags and ran excitedly to Lilia's room, shouting, Lilia, we're back. Devian, Irwin, you are finally back home. Lilia waved her little hands and laughed brightly. Tracy hurriedly carried Lilia into the wheelchair. Look, we've got a gift for you. Devian and Irwin handed the paper airplane they had made to their sister. Devian and Irwin doted on Lilia very much. They knew that Lilia was sick and needed more love. Therefore, every time Devian and Irwin returned home from kindergarten, they would bring gifts for Lilia. Thank you, Devian and Irwin. This paper airplane is so beautiful. Of course, we made it ourselves. It can fly very far. Our handmade task this time is to make paper airplanes. When speaking, Irwin took the paper airplane and threw it into the distance. The paper airplane flew in the air and did not fall until it reached a corner of the living room and hit the wall. Lilia, look, isn't it flying very far? Lilia clapped her hands and giggled, saying, Wow, you guys are awesome. I'm so happy. Mommy, can we take Lilia to the Burger King where we ate last time? Agreed. Lilia loves the fries there the most. Can we bring Lilia there? There's a slide and a children's playground. Joanna looked at Devian and Irwin and was frustrated, replying, Well, it looks like the two of you want to go there. She did not like her children to eat so much junk food. However, she could do nothing about it. It seemed that most children liked junk food, such as burgers, fried chicken, and fries. Lilia pouted and said in a baby voice, Mommy, I want to go there too. Joanna thought, it should be okay if they only have it once a week. Thus, Joanna said, Sure, but it's too late today. Can we go tomorrow? When the three little fellows heard this, they nodded excitedly and said in unison, Yay. The boys yelled, Now let's parley with Lilia. Looking at three cute little ones, Joanna smiled gently. She thought, no matter how hard life is, all my bad mood is gone when I see my three children. The three little fellows got up early in the morning the next day. Joanna also got up to make breakfast for her children. Joanna was very busy with work and had great pressure, but she would stop work to spend time with her kids every weekend. Beep, beep. Joanna's phone suddenly rang. 12:52 Friday the 23rd of June. Chapter 116. Joanna took up her phone and saw that it was Jaden calling. Hi, Jay. Jaden's voice came from the other end of the phone. Joanne, are you busy now? He sounded like he was slightly upset. Jaden asked, am I bothering you? Joanna felt very apologetic when she heard Jaden's upset in his voice. Joanna had stood Jaden up a few times because of Bruce's disturbing ads by Pub Future. She wanted to invite Jaden for lunch and apologize to him. Thus, Joanna answered, how could that be? I was just about to call you. Hearing Joanna's words, Jaden smiled and asked, is that so? Yes, it is, said Joanna. Jaden asked, anything I can do for you? Tell me. Joanna paused for a moment and smiled awkwardly, replying, well, you said that you were going to film a movie and wanted to get Irwin to audition. I've asked Irwin, and he told me he really wants to go. Have you picked a person for that character yet? When Irwin heard this, he hurriedly ran over, asking, Mommy, is that Mr. Grimm? Yes, it's Mr. Grimm. Mommy, give me the phone. I want to talk to Mr. Grimm. When speaking, Irwin stretched out his little arm to get the phone in Joanna's hand. Joanna had no choice but to hand the phone to Irwin. Hello, Mr. Grimm. This is Win. Hi, Irwin. Irwin smiled and proudly said, Mr. Grimm, I've already convinced my mom. She agreed me to play this role. Jaden smiled and replied, that's great. Are you free this afternoon? How about I bring you to the studio for an audition? Irwin pouted and asked, HMPH. My acting is wonderful. Do I still need an audition? Well, you have to take some photographs. This is an action movie. You'll be the male lead when he was young, so your costume has to be customized. Alright then. Jaden smiled dotingly and said, then it's settled. Now give back the phone to your mommy. Mommy, here's your phone. Joanna took back the phone and said, hi, Jay. Joanne, it's a deal since you've agreed. No more changes. No problem. Then I'll pick you up later. Hearing this, Joanna hesitated for seconds. She did not want to cause too much trouble for Jaden. Thus, Joanna replied, well, why don't you give me the address? I'll drive them there. 12:52 Friday the 23rd of June. Chapter 116. No, it's better that I pick you up now. Jaden sounded assertive. Joanna smiled and did not turn Jaden down, replying, all right then. Okay, that's it for now. I'm going to hang up the phone. See you later. Just as Joanna hung up the phone, Irwin jumped happily and yelled, oh. I can make a movie now. I'm going to be a star. Mommy, Mr. Grimm told me this is an action movie. I'll act as the male lead when he was young. He's a hero and can play powerful martial arts. Devian looked at Irwin with a cold expression and said in disdain, what's so good about being a star? You should be a superhero so you can save the Earth. Devian, go be your superhero. Anyway, I want to be a star and make lots of money for mommy. I'm a handsome boy. I'll definitely become famous overnight. Just wait to see me become a superstar. When Joanna heard these words, she could not help frowning. Then Joanna started her speech. Irwin, it's good to be confident. But you can't be arrogant. If you are too confident, it will become condescending. Irwin put his hands on his hips proudly and said, HMPH, I'm not arrogant. I'm just telling the truth. Lilia, look at me. Do you think I'm handsome? Lilia clapped her hands in admiration and replied, Irwin is so handsome. Joanna sighed, frustrated. Joanna thought, Irwin develops thick skin as he grows up. Who does Irwin take after? Then Joanna shouted, hurry up and eat breakfast. After breakfast, change your clothes. Mr. Grimm will be here soon. Got it. After breakfast, Joanna left the house with the three little guys, Tracy and Miranda. Joanna thought, I don't want to waste this precious Sunday. I'm going to take Lilia out today. They went downstairs and found that Jaden was already waiting outside. "Hi, Jay, you've arrived," greeted Joanna. The three little guys liked Jaden very much. They greeted Jaden in unison, "Hello, Mr. Grimm, Devian, Irwin, and Lilia." Jaden smiled gently. Then he opened the car door in the trunk. After that, Jaden carried Lilia's wheeled stretcher into the car, saying, "Get in the car, kids." Jaden was driving a Hummer SUV today. It was big inside but did not have enough seats. Joanna took a look and said, "Well, it looks like we can't all get in this car. How about I drive another car?" Jaden said, "It's fine. Maybe Miranda and Tracy don't have to be with you this trip." Joanna was stunned and hesitated, murmuring, "Well, it was hard for Joanna to take care of 3 children. Therefore, Joanna had to bring at least one servant if Joanna went out with her children." 12:52 Friday the 23rd of June. Chapter 116. After all, Lilia was disabled. She needed special care. Jaden smiled and said, "Can't we take care of 3 little kids?" Joanna hesitated for a moment. Then she agreed and said, "All right." Jaden often helped Joanna take care of the children, and the children were even happier with Jaden than with Joanna. The 3 little guys got in the car and sat in the back seats. Then they buckled their seat belts. Jaden thoughtfully prepared a special child seat for Lilia. Joanna sat in the passenger seat. Then, Jaden started the car and drove toward the photography studio in Hunter Bay. The car had been on the road for about 20 minutes. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Joanna's phone vibrated. She picked it up and saw that it was Bruce. "Bruce is haunting me." Joanna's expression changed. Then she directly hung up the phone. Buzz, buzz, buzz. After Joanna hung up the phone, Bruce called again within a minute. Joanna hung up again and turned the phone into silent mode. Bruce called Joanna 4 or 5 times. However, Joanna declined all the calls. Bruce was so angry that he had a pained look. Then Bruce sent messages to Joanna. "Joanna, where are you? I want to see you. Why didn't you answer my phone? I'll give you 3 minutes. Call me back. If you don't call back, you know the consequences." Bruce's messages also revealed his commanding and aggressive tone. Noticing Joanna's frown, Jaden could not help asking, "What's going on? Is it Bruce?" "Oh, God." Joanna sighed heavily. Joanna was so scared of Bruce now. She could not offend Bruce or hide from Bruce. Joanna was even threatened and bullied by Bruce at all times. Seeing Joanna's serious expression, Jaden did not know what to say or how to comfort Joanna. Jaden thought, "I can get Joanna's back and solve her problems if a man annoys her. Unfortunately, the man who harasses Joanna is Bruce. I can't do anything with Bruce." 10 minutes later, Joanna still hadn't called Bruce back. Bruce currently lived in the Shireen Bay villa. After he divorced Joanna, Bruce moved back to where he used to live. This villa was luxurious. It faced the sea and was the only building on the mountain. The mayor of Greyport lived in the villa on the left side of the mountain, while a high-ranking official of Mosbourne lived in the mansion on the right side. At this moment, Bruce was so angry that he felt he was going to explode. Bruce walked around the living room. Outside of the window was the sea. Bruce's handsome face looked sinister. He shouted, "Damn it, Joanna. How dare you not answer my phone? Again. Hey, do you think I can't do anything to you if you don't pick up the phone?" Bruce raised his thick eyebrows and became paranoid again. Soon, Bruce drove and arrived at Joanna's residence. Knock, knock, knock. Bruce stood at the door and knocked heavily on it. Tracy heard the knock on the door and hurriedly came over to open it. Tracy was dumbfounded when she saw that it was Bruce. She remembered the last time Bruce came here and smashed everything into pieces. Tracy thought, "Why is Bruce here today?" Bruce looked terrible. It was obvious that Bruce was angry. He asked gloomily, "Where's Joanna? Open the door now. I want to see her, Mr. Everett. Miss Haynes. She's not at home." Tracy was so nervous that she stammered, "Joanna's not at home." Bruce raised his eyebrows. Then he frowned in disbelief. Seeing Bruce not believe her words, Tracy hurriedly opened the second door and brought Bruce in. Tracy said, "Miss Haynes is not at home. If you don't believe me, come in and take a look." When Bruce heard this, he became even angrier and asked, "Where did Joanna go?" Well, I don't know about that, replied Tracy. Who did Joanna go out with? Asked Bruce. Miss Haynes. Miss Haynes brought her 3 children out. 12:52 Friday the 23rd of June. Chapter 117. Tracy stuttered to reply. She was so scared that cold sweat broke out on her forehead. Luckily, she was clever and did not tell Bruce that Joanna had gone out with Jaden. Tracy thought, last time, Mr. Everett got jealous and had a fight with Mr. Grimm. Mr. Everett knows that Miss Haynes goes out with Mr. Grimm. Mr. Everett will probably fight with Mr. Grimm. Mashed everything here into pieces. If Mr. Everett gained, Bruce seemed a little relaxed. Then he turned around and left. Tracy cried, "Oh my God. I'm almost scared to death." She closed the door and patted her chest with lingering fear. Ads by Pub Future. Who is it? Miranda and Kelly came out and wanted to know what happened. Tracy said nervously, "It's Mr. Everett." "Oh my God, you didn't see him." "Mr. Everett looks so scary." "What brought Mr. Everett here?" Miranda and Kelly had been in Venturas for the past few months and did not know what had happened in Greenport. Tracy replied, "Well, I don't know what's wrong with Mr. Everett now. He pesters Miss Haynes every day." Tracy murmured, No. I have to call Miss Haynes and ask her to be careful." Buzz, buzz, buzz. Joanna's phone vibrated again. Joanna took the phone and saw that it was from Tracy. Then Joanna quickly picked up the phone. Joanna said, "Hello, Tracy. Is everything okay?" Tracy's voice came from the other end of the phone. "Miss Haynes, I've to tell you that Mr. Everett came here just now." Tracy sounded fearful and nervous. "What?" Joanna's heart skipped a beat. Tracy said, "Maybe you need to call Mr. Everett back. His expression is so terrible that he seems he will pick up a fight with anyone." Joanna could not help frowning and asked, "Bruce didn't make things difficult for you, did he?" Tracy replied, "Oh, he didn't. However, Mr. Everett's tone is very bad, and he looks awful. I didn't dare to tell Mr. Everett that you go out with Mr. Grimm. I only said that you go out with your 3 children. It may help if you call Mr. Everett back." Joanna said, "All right, got it." Then Joanna hung up the phone. After that, Joanna sighed in frustration, saying, "It's so annoying." Jaden suddenly became nervous and asked with concern, "What's wrong?" Joanna supported her head with her hand and looked helpless, answering, "I might have to move again." Jaden was stunned, asking, "Did Bruce just go to your place?" "Yeah, Bruce is haunting me," replied Joanna. Jaden sighed and complained, "I'm afraid Bruce can find you no matter where you move to, as long as you are still in Greenport." Jaden thought, Joanna and I would have a chance to be together without Bruce. 12:52 Friday the 23rd of June. Chapter 117. However, I'm feeling the chance is fading out. Hearing Jaden's words, Joanna felt even more frustrated and annoyed. Joanna thought, Jaden is right. At some point, Greenport is Bruce's city. No matter where I hide, Bruce can always dig me out. That is why I can't wait to launch a factory in Mosbourne. I want to transfer my major business to Mosbourne. I'll move to Mosbourne when the business there gets on the right track. Then I can keep a good distance from Bruce. The further away from Bruce, the better. If the business goes well in Porish, I'll develop the business in other cities in the north. 5 minutes later, Jaden stopped the car. There was a huge signboard in front of them. Hutter Bay Pictures. Here we are. Let's get out of the car. Yay. Jaden frowned. He hesitated for seconds. Then Jaden said to Joanna, "Maybe you should call Bruce back." "There's no need. I can't always let Bruce get his way. He will push further if I give him a call back today. Bruce will keep doing so. If he knows I'm scared of him, just ignore him," Joanna said as she released her seatbelt. Then she opened the car door. "Mommy, who are you talking about?" "No one. Get out of the car now," said Joanna. "Okay," Irwin whispered to Devian. "Devian, is Mommy talking about Bruce?" Devian nodded and said with a serious expression, "I think so." Irwin said, "HMPH. That bad guy keeps annoying Mommy." Devian's little face was tense. Devian replied, "Looks like we have to think of a way to deal with that bad guy." Devian, is that Bruce really our daddy? Asked Irwin. Devian replied, how is that possible? Irwin said, that's very likely. If he's our daddy, we'll be rich. I heard that this big baddie is the richest man in Greeport. Devian snorted disdainfully and said, HMPH, I don't care if he has money. I'll teach him a lesson if he dares to bully mommy. Devian, Irwin, what are you talking about? Asked Lelia. Nothing, replied the boys. As the kids spoke, Joanna had already opened the back door. Devian, Irwin, hurry up, urged Joanna. Okay. 12:52 Friday the 23rd of June. Chapter 117. The two little guys unbuttoned their seatbelts and happily jumped out of the car. Jaden took the wheeled stretcher out of the trunk. Joanna carefully carried Lelia out of the car. Although Lelia was 4 years old, she was very light, and her weight was like a 2-year-old's. Here, be careful. Jaden helped Joanna put Lelia on the wheeled stretcher. Jaden said, Irwin, let's go to the photography studio for an audition 1-inch. Irwin immediately forgot about the unhappiness and said excitedly, yes, Mr. Grimm. Irwin shouted, Devian, Lelia, I'm going in. Good luck. Joanna waited outside the photography studio with Devian and Lelia. Meanwhile, Jaden brought Irwin into the dressing room. On the other side, Bruce angrily left Joanna's residence and immediately called Andy. Andy quickly picked up after he saw that it was Bruce. Andy said, hello, Mr. Everett. What can I do for you? Bruce ordered. Andy, find out where Joanna is now. Andy replied, yes, Mr. Everett. Soon, Andy used a satellite to track Joanna's current location. Mr. Everett, Miss Haynes is currently in the Hutter Bay Pictures. I'm sending her location to you now. Hutter Bay Pictures? Asked Bruce. Yes. Suddenly, Bruce became very jealous. Bruce thought, Jaden works in a film company. Joanna probably goes to see Jaden since she's in the Hutter Bay Pictures. Send me her location now, shouted Bruce. I already sent it. Then Bruce hung up the phone and started his car, heading to Hutter Bay Pictures. Bruce murmured, Joanna, you'll see what I'll do to you if you dare to stay in the relationship with Jaden. Along the way, Bruce was furious. Andy noticed that Bruce was in a bad mood from Bruce's tone. Therefore, Andy quickly called Cody and asked Cody to bring more bodyguards to Hutter Bay Pictures. Andy said, I've sent you an address. Hurry up and go there. Mr. Everett goes to the Hutter Bay Pictures alone. No problem. We got it, replied Cody. Hutter Bay Pictures was a film and television base. There were various sets inside, and several production teams were filming. There, Jaden brought Irwin into the dressing room. People greeted Jaden, hello, Mr. Grimm. Jaden said, Irwin, come on in. They will give you a style. Okay. Irwin followed Jaden's words and walked in. A makeup artist and a stylist began to design Irwin's style. Outside the dressing room, Lelia asked, Mommy, can we go and eat hamburgers after Irwin finishes his audition? Yes, I'll bring you guys for hamburgers at noon, okay. Great. Lelia smiled like a sunflower. Lelia could not go out often due to her body's condition. It was rare for Lelia to go out with Joanna, Devian, and Irwin. Therefore, it was Lelia's happiest moment when Joanna took her out. Meanwhile, Devian tensed his handsome face and sat quietly on the chair. He crossed his arms and had a serious expression. It looked like Devian was deep in thought. Devian kept thinking about how to figure out a way to deal with the big baddie Bruce Everett. He thought, I can't let this big baddie bully mommy. I'm the elder brother and have the responsibility to protect mommy and my younger siblings. Noticing Devian was so serious, Joanna gently stroked Devian's forehead and asked, Devian, what are you thinking? Nothing, mommy, Devian replied. Then Devian immediately recovered his innocent look. Devian thought, I can't let mommy know what I was thinking. Otherwise, she will definitely stop. Joanne, you can hang around with the kids. I'm going over there to interview 2 actresses. I'll be back later, said Jaden. Joanna said, it's okay. Focus on your work. We'll be fine. Jaden smiled and replied, see you later then. I'll be back soon. Joanna said, okay, no worries. Then Jaden hurriedly walked toward the office. 2 new actresses arrived here for an audition today, so Jaden had to go over and interview them. Jaden especially valued the filming of this movie and did many things by himself. After all, stars could not only rely on popularity. Now, therefore, Jaden needed more capable actors and actresses in his company instead of only having popular stars. That rule fitted perfectly in the film industry. The audience would not buy it if the movie was not good. Joanna said, "Let's go. There are many attractions here. I'll bring you guys to take a look." Yay! Lilia could not wait to go out and see the scenery. 1252 FI. Chapter 118. Devian also nodded to agree. Joanna smiled gently and took Lilia Devian out of the photography studio. Then they walked the place. There were many ancient sets and famous buildings from all over the world. They were imitations but still worth a look. In the dressing room, Jaden came over to explain, "Irwin, this lady will give you makeup and put a covering on your head." Irwin said, "Sounds great." Then he sat on a stool. Ads by Pub Future. "Wow, what a cute boy. Thank you for the compliment," replied Irwin. Although Irwin was just a young actor, his style had to be exquisite. It took over an hour to give Irwin the costume and a hairstyle. After the styling was done, Irwin had already become an adorable young decent gentleman from ancient times. "Now we can go to the studio and find the director to give you an audition." "Great," said Irwin. Then the assistant brought Irwin to the studio. "Hey, I heard that this little actor is Mr. Grimm's illegitimate son." "What? No way. It's true. It's just that Mr. Grimm hasn't made it public." "Wow, no wonder Mr. Grimm cares about that little boy so much. Mr. Grimm even personally brought that boy to the dressing room. That boy is so lucky that he can be one of the Grimm family." "Then who's that boy's mother?" "That boy's mother is Mr. Everett's ex-wife." When the other makeup artist heard this, she could not help clicking her tongue and said, "No way. If so, that boy has a rich mother. Why does he need to be here to film a movie?" Many people like to experience life, and many superstars have rich parents. Filming a movie is just their interest. "That's true, but that boy is so young. I can't believe he has to get in this industry at this age." "Oh, shut up. Many people want such an opportunity and can't get it. That boy will do great in this industry since he has Mr. Grimm." In the studio, the director asked Irwin to try out a scene. The director said, "Express your sadness and desperation after knowing your father's enemy had killed your father." "Dad, you can't die." "What about me if you die? You can't leave me and Mom." Irwin became the character in a second. 1252 Friday the 23rd of June. Chapter 118. Irwin really had the talent for acting. He could have tears easily and even took the initiative to add several lines. Everyone present was surprised by Trevин's acting skills. They all looked at Irwin and started this CTG. "This little kid has talent in acting." I was worried that he wouldn't be able to cry. I didn't expect him to cry in less than a minute. "That boy is a born actor. Where did you find it?" "Mr. Grimm recommended that boy." "Good, very good." After the audition, the assistant brought Irwin back to the dressing room. The assistant said, "You can remove your makeup now." "Oh, but I want to show Mommy how I look before removing my makeup." It was rare for Irwin to dress up in an ancient style. Irwin was curious about the style. He was so smug and appreciated himself in the mirror. Irwin murmured, sadly, "Mommy is not in the photography studio." Irwin had no choice but to return to the dressing room to remove his makeup. "Sorry, I think I got in the wrong room," said Irwin. Irwin pranced and opened the door of a dressing room. Then Irwin found an actress sitting inside. That actress was the second female lead in this movie. After realizing that he had walked into the wrong room, Irwin hurriedly walked out of it. Coincidentally, a thin young man dressed fashionably walked over with flowers in his hands. That man and Irwin had passed each other. However, the young man subconsciously turned around to take a second look. The man murmured, "Isn't this Joanna's child?" This young man was Ingrid's son, Derek Haynes. Recently, Derek had been pursuing and pestering the second female lead. Derek had also spent a lot of money on her. Unfortunately, the actress had no interest in Derek. Realizing that boy was Joanna's child, Derek immediately gritted his teeth in hatred. Derek thought, "Kanna took away everything that was supposed to be mine. She even cut off my fixed salary at the Haynes Group. If it weren't because Joanna, I wouldn't have been looked down upon by others. Luckily, I am still a member of the Haynes family. However, losing the right to inherit the Haynes group, I can never have my moments back when hanging out with other rich boys. Thinking of this, Derek had a terrifying plan in his mind. Derek thought, I want to take revenge on Joanna and teach her a lesson. The photography studio did not have surveillance cameras because those cameras may invade the privacy of celebrities. Moreover, the studio was very big. It was difficult to notice a child when people ran around. 12:52 Friday the 23rd of June. Chapter 118. Derek immediately stopped Irwin and stared at Irwin with a smile, asking, Hi, cutie. Do you know where the bathroom is? Yeah, I know. It's over there. Irwin enthusiastically pointed the direction in the air. Derek and Irwin had met each other once at Raymond Haynes' funeral. However, many people Jean at the funeral, so Derek and Irwin only met each other briefly there. Therefore, Derek remembered Irwin, but Irwin did not remember Derek. Cutie, do you mind bringing me there? Irwin thought for a moment and felt he also wanted to go to the toilet. Thus, Irwin nodded and agreed, saying, Yes, this way. Soon, Irwin brought Derek to the bathroom. There were no surveillance cameras in the bathroom. Irwin said, Here we are. This is the bathroom. Before Irwin could finish his sentence, Derek covered Irwin's mouth and dragged Irwin into a stall. On the other side, Jaden returned to the dressing room after he finished his work. Where's the little actor? Asked Jaden. The makeup artists were stunned and replied, He went out long ago. Where did he go? Asked Jaden. I thought you took that little boy for an audition. Jaden continued to ask, Didn't he come back after the audition? Well, we didn't see him. Jaden was stunned when he heard that. Then Jaden took out his phone and called Joanna. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Joanna quickly picked up the call and said, Hello, Jay. Have you finished your work? Hi, Joanne. Is Irwin with you? Asked Jaden. Hearing this, Joanna suddenly became nervous and replied, No. Didn't you take Irwin for the audition? Oh, alright then, look around. Joanna asked, Jay, what happened? Her heart was beating faster and faster. Joanna was not afraid of anything except for the safety of her children. Jaden did not want Joanna to worry, so he hurriedly comforted Joanna, It's okay, Irwin has finished the audition. He might just run around to play. I'll go find him now. Okay. Then Joanna anxiously hung up the phone. After hanging up the phone, Jaden rushed to several dressing rooms in the photography studio to search for Irwin. Did you see that little actor just now? Asked Jaden. No, Mr. Grimm. Jaden searched all the dressing rooms in the photography studio he rented. However, he could not find Irwin. Then Jaden panicked and immediately asked his assistants to search for Irwin separately. About 8 assistants began to search the photography studio and the nearby scenic spots. Joanna was worried and said, Devian, let's go back now. Mommy, what happened? Asked Devian. Joanna explained, Let's go back and pick up Irwin. It's been so long. Irwin must have finished his audition. Okay. After that, Joanna hurriedly returned to the photography studio. Then Joanna happened to see Jaden anxiously looking around. Joanna asked, Jay, where's Irwin? Jaden took a deep breath and did his best to calm down, replying, Joanne, please calm down first. Jay, where's Irwin? Did you hide something from me? Tell me now. Seeing that Joanna was so anxious that her eyes were red, Jaden did not dare to conceal the truth. Thus, Jaden said, Irwin had an audition here. After the audition, he went to remove his makeup. Then, Irwin disappeared. I'm looking for him now. Don't worry, this photography studio is not that big. Irwin must have run out to play. Boom. Jaden's words were like a clap of thunder to Joanna. When Joanna heard that, she could not stand still. Then Joanna staggered along. Joanne. Jaden immediately went forward to hold Joanna and said, It's okay. No need to worry so much. Joanna came back to herself and hurriedly looked around, shouting, Irwin, Irwin. Where are you? Come out now. Devian and Lilia were also getting anxious. They used all their might and shouted, Irwin. Irwin. Everyone panicked and began to look around. Half an hour later, people searched the entire studio but failed to see Irwin. Irwin. Joanna was about to go crazy. Joanna cried inside, this photography studio has no surveillance cameras. I'm afraid someone kidnaps Irwin. I don't know what to do if a kidnapper really takes Irwin away. Jaden said, check the surveillance cameras. This photography studio has no surveillance cameras, but the scenic spots outside have cameras. We can find out who takes Irwin away. Good. 12:53 Friday, 23. Chapter 119. Then Joanna and Jaden hurriedly headed to the surveillance room. Just as Joanna turned around, she saw a few bodyguards in suits standing behind her. Bruce had a cold expression and was frowning at Joanna. Bruce said, Joanna, it turned out that you really hooked up with Jaden again. Well, it looks like you ignored everything I said. I've said it before. If I find out that you're with Jaden again, I'll make you pay the price. Seeing Bruce, Joanna's heart skipped a beat. Her beautiful eyes were filled with fear. Then Joanna stared at Bruce with her open wide eyes. Joanna shouted inside, I should have known it was Bruce who did that. Before Bruce could finish his words, Joanna stepped forward and slapped Bruce heavily in the face. Slap. A crisp sound arose. Bruce was confused and shocked. Joanna gritted his teeth and roared, Bruce, you're so despicable. Joanna wished she could take Bruce down now. Bruce became angrier after being slapped. Bruce thought, damn it. How dare you, Joanna? You slapped me in public. She even picks a fight before me. It's true. Women will never satisfy with what they have. Bruce touched his cheek, and his anger was about to fly out of his eyes. Bruce glared at Joanna viciously. Then he raised his hand and was about to slap back. However, noticing Joanna's expression, Bruce could not do it. Joanna cried, Bruce, where did you take my son? Tell me, where did you take my son? Come to me if you are annoyed or something. Don't do anything to my son. Then Joanna rushed over and punched Bruce in a frenzy. Bruce was stunned and speechless. He had no idea of what had happened. 2. Bruce thought, I should be the one to confront Joanna. Well, now this woman takes the first step and releases her anger at me. Bruce replied, are you out of your mind? How would I know where your son is? Joanna gritted her teeth, and her entire body was shaking. She shouted, stop pretending. You must have taken away my son. Give me back my son now. If anything happens to my son, I'll fight you until I die with you. Ads by Pub Future. Bruce frowned coldly and flung Joanna's arm away, shouting, I don't know what you are talking about. Jaden was also furious and said, Bruce, did you take away Irwin? How could you do that? Bruce replied, Jaden, Joanna, I've told you. I don't know anything about your child. Stop being like mad dogs. Bruce's words made Jaden and Joanna firmly believe that Bruce was the one who took Irwin away. Joanna pounced on Bruce again and grabbed Bruce's sleeve tightly. Tears flowed out of her eyes uncontrollably. Joanna begged, Bruce, where exactly did you hide my son? Can you stop the fight? Please return my son to me now. Chapter 119. Bruce said, you're crazy. How would I know where your son is? Bruce was angry. He hated being wronged by others the most. Bruce thought, I wouldn't do such a thing as kidnapping. And kidnapping a kid. That would be ridiculous to me. I wouldn't use such a dirty mean even if I wanted to take revenge on Joanna. Devian was so angry that his face turned pale. He pointed at Bruce's nose and scolded, you big baddie. Where did you take my brother? I want to see my brother now. War. Irwin, where did you go? Lilia was scared and started crying. Joanna sobbed uncontrollably and said, Bruce, I'm begging you. Please give back my son to me. You must have taken my son away. Please don't use my child to punish me. I'm begging you. Bruce took a deep breath and frowned. Then he held Joanna's face and stared into Joanna's eyes, saying, Joanna, I don't know what you are talking about. I've never seen your son either. That's impossible. It must be you. It must be you. My son is missing. You must have hidden him. Just give Irwin back to me. I'll call the police now and charge you with kidnapping. If you refuse, then call the police now. Jaden stepped forward and pushed Bruce away, shouting, let go of Joanne. Bruce staggered but did not let go of Joanna. Bruce, Irwin is just a child. You can't do this. You can release your anger to me, but please don't do anything to my child. Bruce, let go of Joanne, warned Jaden. The bodyguards quickly surrounded Jaden and started fighting with Jaden. Then the security guards and assistants of the photography studio rushed over to join the fight. Seeing how nervous Joanna and Jaden were, Bruce realized that Joanna's son was really lost. Bruce could not help sneering. He said, "Well, it looks like someone has already made a move before me. Joanna, I'm telling you one last time. I didn't kidnap your son. I wouldn't use such a shameless method if I want you to pay the price." Joanna looked at Bruce with tears in her eyes, begging, "Bruce, if you take Irwin away, please don't hurt him under all circumstances. Otherwise, you'll definitely regret it. You'll definitely regret it." After saying that, Joanna shook Bruce crazily, and tears ran down Joanna's face. Joanna thought, Bruce will hurt his biological son if he hurts Irwin. However, Bruce replied coldly, "I never regret what I do. Also, believe it or not, all I said is true. If I tell you didn't do it, then I didn't do it. I will admit it if it was me." Looking at Bruce's gloomy expression, Joanna began to believe Bruce. Joanna thought, Bruce is righteous deep down, and he will admit things that he has done. If Bruce kidnaps Irwin, Bruce will openly provoke me and force me to follow his words. Now that Bruce said he did not take Irwin away, I think I might have wronged Bruce. 12:53 Friday the 23rd of June. Chapter 119. Irwin, where did you go? Joanna cried out. Then she closed her eyes and fainted. Joanna, cried Bruce. Joanne, cried Jaden. Bruce was faster and took Joanna into his arms. Then Bruce said to his bodyguards, "Send some people to search around for Joanna's kid." "Yes, Mr. Everett." Joanna only passed out for seconds. Then she struggled to get up and murmured, "I need to find my son. I need to find my son." Bruce replied, "I've already sent people to look for Irwin. It's useless to be anxious like this." Joanna murmured, "The surveillance room. I need to go to the surveillance room." Then Joanna ran toward the surveillance room as if she was mad. Joanna thought, the photography studio doesn't have surveillance cameras. However, surveillance cameras are everywhere. Outside of the studio, I will definitely get some useful information. Send. Gift. Comment. Oh. 12:53 Friday, 23. Chapter 120. Soon, Joanna arrived at the surveillance room. A security guard pulled up all the surveillance videos. Joanna held her breath and attentively watched the surveillance videos. Joanna was scared that she would miss Irwin, so she was unwilling to take a second to blink. Bruce was smoking outside gloomily. Jaden accompanied Joanna to check all the surveillance videos. After watching dozens of surveillance videos, Joanna did not find anyone suspicious or see Irwin leave the studio. However, after searching the entire studio, they could not find Irwin. Irwin seemed to disappear into thin air. Until now, Irwin had been missing for more than 3 hours. Joanna was about to break down. She kept blaming herself, her eyes were bloodshot, and her body was uncontrollably trembling. Jaden blamed himself even harder. Then he asked the security guard to pull out more surveillance videos of other places. The security guard frowned and sighed, replying, "I'm afraid that's all I can do. I only have surveillance videos of this area. You need to go to another surveillance room if you want surveillance videos of other areas." Jaden said, "Then let's rush to the next surveillance room now." The security guard was replaying the video. Suddenly, Joanna saw a familiar figure on the screen. Joanna said, "Wait, rewind this video. I want to watch it again." "Okay." Then the security guard replayed it. A tall and thick man appeared in that video. The camera did not capture that man's face, but Joanna found that man familiar. Joanna almost recognized that man at a glance. She cried inside, "This person is Derek Haynes." Watching the video, Joanna suddenly grabbed the mouse and zoomed the screen to see this man. Jaden frowned and murmured, "Is this person?" Joanna was shocked and cried, "It looks like he is Derek Haynes." "Derek Haynes," repeated Jaden. Joanna firmly replied, "Yes, it must be Derek." Joanna's heart skipped a beat. She felt a chill run down her spine after confirming that it was Derek Haynes. Joanna thought, Ingrid and her 3 children all hate me deeply. It sounds reasonable if Derek wants to take revenge on me. The meanest way to hurt me is to hurt my children. Jaden shook his head subconsciously and said, really? Derek is your brother to some extent. He's probably not the one who takes away Irwin. Joanna sneered and thought, heh. Siblings from another mother are worse than strangers. 12:53 Friday the 23rd of June. Chapter 120. At least strangers won't desire to kill me. As for my half-brothers and sisters, they with me to disappear from the world. That could actually be Derek, said Joanna. Jaden said, but Derek didn't bring anything with him, and we didn't see he's with Irwin. Joanna urged, call the police now. I'm afraid it will be too late if we keep wasting time here. Jaden sighed and replied, Irwin has not missed up to 24 hours yet. Even if we call the police, I'm afraid they won't file a case. Joanna suddenly stood up and said emotionally, I'm going to find and confront Derek. Jaden suggested, maybe call your father first and see where Derek is. Ask Derek if he has seen Irwin. Joanna said, good idea. I'm calling my father now. Joanna immediately took out her phone and called Sean. Beep beep beep. The phone got through quickly. Sean's voice came from the other end of the phone. Hello, Joanne. Joanna greeted, hey, Dad. Joanne, what's the matter? Sean sounded very cold. Is Derek home? Asked Joanna. Sean was stunned when he heard that, thinking. Derek never gets along well with Joanna since they were young. Now Joanna calls me and asks where Derek is. What a surprise. Sean subconsciously glanced at Derek's room and replied, it looks like Rick goes out. Why are you looking for him? Any idea of where Derek went? Joanna sounded anxious. I don't know, said Sean. Can you give me Derek's number? I need to speak to him now. Oh, wait a moment. I'm looking for it, Sean said and was about to open his contact list. Ingrid heard Sean on the phone. Then she walked in coquettish steps and came downstairs. Ingrid asked, hubby, who are you talking to? It's Joanne, said Sean. Ingrid's face changed when she heard that. Ingrid shrieked, why are you talking to that bitch? Sean said, Conan, stop it. Then Sean replied to Joanna, Joanne, I can't find it now. I'll send it to you later. By the way, why are you looking for Rick? Joanna paused for a moment and said with a sobbing tone, my son is missing. It's likely that Derek took Irwin away. Dad, ask Derek if he took Irwin away. Hearing this, Sean was shocked and subconsciously retorted, what? That's impossible. Why would Rick take your son away? 12:53 Friday the 23rd of June. Dad, this is serious. It could be a criminal case. Ask Derek to send Irwin back if he did take away Irwin. Otherwise, before Sean could hear Joanna finishing her speech, Ingrid snatched the phone. Ingrid cursed to the phone, bitch, I'm telling you. Don't you dare wrong Rick. Your son is lost. Then you should blame yourself for not looking after him. The blame for your son's missing should not be on others. If you dare to slander my son again, I'll sue you. Bitch, you deserve to lose your son. This is God's punishment for you. Pomp. Ingrid hung up the phone after finishing her scolding. Hello. Joanna took a deep breath. Then she tried her best not to break down and forced herself to calm down. Joanna said to herself, at this moment, my brain will only work when I am calm. After hanging up the phone, Ingrid kept cursing. Sean frowned and asked, where is Rick? Ingrid replied, who knows? Rick probably goes out with that barely known star. Hearing this, Sean could not help sighing. He complained, it's been so long since Rick graduated. He should get a job. Rick does nothing every day. All he does is to flirt with female stars. Ingrid glared at Sean and scolded, it's all because of your good daughter, Joanna. Otherwise, would Rick have nothing to do? Ads by Pub Future. Joanna doesn't allow anyone from the Haynes family to enter the company. The Haynes group has become her own company. Bitch, such an awful woman. I wish a car hits and kills Joanna someday. Sean couldn't take it anymore. He stood up and was about to go upstairs, complaining, can't you keep your mouth shut? Ingrid chased after Sean and continued to scold him, why should I shut my mouth? I can't wait to take Joanna down. What a cunt. I wish Joanna a wonderful death. Sean was in the middle of getting upstairs. He suddenly stopped and looked at Ingrid, saying, enough. Call Rick now and ask if he's seen Joanne's child. I'm worrying that it would be Rick. Ingrid rolled her eyes. However, hearing those words, Ingrid had a heavy heart. Then she took out her phone and called Derek. After the phone got through, Ingrid's expression changed instantly, and her tone became gentle. Hi, Rick, Mom, what's the matter? Derek sounded very impatient. Ingrid said, the bitch phona called just now and asked if you've seen her damn son. Tell me the truth. Did you see Joanna's damn son or not? Derek replied, what? Why would I have seen Joanna's son? Really? Asked Ingrid. Derek replied, no, I didn't. Don't call me so often. It's annoying. Oh, okay. Ingrid was afraid that her son would get angry. Ingrid had a sharp personality and was not afraid of anything. Sadly, she failed to treat the same to her children. 12:53 Friday the 23rd of June. Chapter 120. I'm going to hang up if you don't have other things. Alright, Mom. Transfer me another $100,000. Hearing this, Ingrid's temper flared up. She questioned, I gave you $100,000 last week, why are you asking for money now? Derek replied, it was just $100,000. It's only enough for days. Cut the crap. I want it now. Ingrid said, no money for you. You are extravagant. Do you think we have a money printing machine at home? Spending $400,000 to $600,000 a month. You're such a spendthrift. Mom, how about $40,000? Give me now. If you don't, I'll jump off a building. Ingrid was even more exasperated after hearing those words. Ingrid thought, Rick has spent lavishly since he was young. He will throw a tantrum if I don't give him money. Sometimes, Rick even threatens me by committing suicide. Unfortunately, there was nothing Ingrid could do. Ingrid complained, you're so annoying. I'll give you the money later. Derek said, thank you, Mom. I'm gonna hang up if you don't have other things. Then he hung up the phone. Derek was trying to get a barely known star. That girl asked Derek to buy everything for her, such as bags, cars, and jewelry. Once Derek refused to buy anything, that girl would immediately stop talking to Derek. Derek was from a rich family. However, he had no ability to become rich. Thus, Derek had to ask his parents for money. It was impossible to get tens of millions of dollars from Derek at once. That girl was smart and planned to dig more gold from rich men when she was young. Except for Derek, that girl hooked up with several rich old men.